In this question number 6, it says a triangle has a base that measures 4x minus 8 units and an altitude that measures 6x plus 10 units. Which algebraic expression represents the area of this triangle? So we're trying to find the area. Expression just means that you have variables and numbers that are involved, but you don't use an equal symbol or a sign. So it's not an equation, it's an expression. We're trying to find the area. Now it says a triangle. First thing we got to know is the area formula for a triangle, which is that 1/2 base times height. So let's see if we have enough information for this problem. It tells me that the base is this amount of units, and the altitude. Altitude is another word for height, but really what the purpose behind it is that when you have a right, or not a right triangle, just any kind of triangle, the altitude comes from an opposite vertex to the side making a right angle, which makes it the actual height of the triangle. So here we've got our base and our height. It's like they're saying this base here is 4x minus 8 units, and they're telling me this altitude here is like 6x plus 10 units. So let's go ahead and plug it into our formula then. So area is going to be equal to this 1/2 times the base, so our base is 4x minus 8, times the height, which is 6x plus 10 units. And now what we want to do is we want to multiply it out. Now, you have two different options here, really three, but the first thing you could do is distribute this 1/2 to one of these parentheses, one of these binomials, but not both. You only distribute to one. So you could distribute to this 4x minus 8, or we could rearrange and distribute to this one over here. Otherwise, you can go ahead and FOIL this and distribute at the end, which is what I usually recommend to my students because sometimes they just can't remember that it only goes to one of these parentheses. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to have this 1/2 times, and we're going to FOIL. When you FOIL, when you multiply a binomial times a binomial, you want to multiply your first terms, the ones in the first position. So we have 4x times 6x, which would then be 24, and what's x times x? X squared. Then we want to do the ones in the outside position. So 4 is on the outside position of this parentheses, and 10 is on the outside position of this parentheses, so outside. So that gives me 4x times 10. So 4 times 10 is 40 with the x. The next thing we want to do is the inside. So we want the inner terms here. They're inside the parentheses, kind of the ones that are touching each other. So it would be this -8 and the 6x. So -8 times 6 is -48 with an x. And then the ones that are in the last position of each of these parentheses, which would be this -8 plus, or sorry, -8 times this 10. -8 times 10 would be -80. So that's this whole thing FOILed out. Now, I always tell my students, if you did this correctly, it should look like a moon. So when you're done FOILing, just check and say, did I get everything? And if it looks like a moon, like a half crescent, then you're good to go. Here we go, 1/2 times, let's go ahead and clean this first, 24x squared, 40x minus 48x would be -8x, and then we have this -80. Now what we're going to do is finally distribute this 1/2 to every single term on the inside. So what is half of 24, or 24 divided by 2? That would be 12x squared. What is half of -8x, or -8x divided by 2? That would be -4x. What is half of -80, or -80 divided by 2? That would be -40. And what we see here is answer choice A.